Hello there, I'm Dave Metra. Welcome to a review, and this is a review on Toad in the Bachmann Thomas the Tank Engine range, and please enjoy. So here you can see I've got the Bachmann Toad. I also have Toad in the Hornby range. However, although I think it's a good model, and I mean the face on the Hornby Toad looks exactly what Toad's face looked like in the TV series. The only problem is they've painted Toad brown for some reason in the Hornby range, and Toad's actually painted grey, as you can see here. However, Toad was brown obviously at the time that he fell in the pond. But yeah, so I think this model's a lot better. And as you can see, he's got fine detail all the way around. The face is really good. The face looks just like what it did like in the CGI series of the show. And this is more based upon Toad's CGI model, whereas, say, the Hornby one's more based upon what Toad looked like in the model series of the show. Obviously, when Toad came back to the CGI series, he had quite a few modifications, like silver buffers. Before that, his buffers and his buffer beam painted black. Like I say, he still has the black buffer beam, but his buffers are now silver. However, that sort of follows on from the Railway series, I suppose. Again, he looks a lot different in the Railway series. But yeah, I think overall it's a really good model. And as you know, my previous review was on Oliver. We had to wait for Oliver to come out for quite a while. However, they finally brought it out. They've also finally brought out Winston as well in the G-scale range, as I mentioned in the previous video. They've also now released promotional actual photos of the Bachmann Rheneas now coming out in the 009 range. And I certainly hope as well that they decide to bring out the other narrow gauge engines into the range, because obviously there's more than one narrow gauge engine on the island of Sodor now. So here I've got the packaging for the Bachmann Toad. And again, as I said before, I'm not as keen on the packaging on Bachmann as I am on the old Hornby Thomas range. I don't think it's as well protected because I mean it's not in polystyrene, and also this sort of, you have to sort of destroy the box, so it's sort of loose, so it's not as well protected as it is in the box of a Hornby Thomas item. And say, but if you look on the back, it shows you all the other ones you can buy. Normally on the engine ones you get a photo of the engine. It mentions that the engines have moving eyes. However, Toad being rolling stock doesn't have moving eyes. The same with obviously Bachmann Terrence and the Bachmann Scar Louis, obviously, as that was micro tiny, so it would be asking for a lot to have moving eyes in a model the size of Scar Louis. And if you look, it tells you all the other ones you can buy. This one doesn't actually mention Rosie on it. However, recently, again, a picture has emerged on Twitter of Rosie at last. Doesn't mean to say it'll come out this year. We're still sort of waiting. Like I said, we've been waiting on obviously Rheneas, and we waited on Oliver for a long time. They're also supposed to be releasing Rusty this year as well. Well, they say this list came out this year, but it doesn't actually mean it will come out this year. You could be waiting a month for Sundays, don't know really, just got to be patient really. And again, as I pointed out, some of them have this warning about what can happen if you eat or chew on any of the items, but obviously I won't be chewing on any of them, as I'm not a child. I do know how to behave myself when it comes to these models, I think it's fair to say. It does say ages 8+ on the box as well, which I think is a reasonable sort of age. Because I suppose this model is quite fragile really, but not as fragile as some of the Hornby ones like Oliver, as I was saying before. And if we look underneath, it says that this is made in 2015, and Toad was actually released last year in 2016. However, these were possibly made in 2015, so they're ready for production the following year. I've had a little test of Toad, or this Toad being pulled by a few of my other engines, and I think we can say that he runs quite nicely. I mean, it's very rare that rolling stock doesn't run nicely, because obviously rolling stock doesn't have motors in it. It just obviously moves along when it's pulled by an engine, but I'm sure you'll agree that it's quite a nice runner, as you can see here. As you know, Toad was absent in the TV series for a while before he came back. But however, he did still appear in the magazine stories, so he was never really forgotten, really, I suppose. And obviously, many fans didn't forget Toad. And obviously, now he's back in the CGI series. He's playing more and more parts, particularly alongside obviously new characters as well. And yeah, so then I think they're making a lot more of Toad than what they did when he was in the model series of the show. But like I said, overall, I think this is a really good model of Toad. And if I had to give this model of Toad a score, I'd happily give it a 10 out of 10, which is a big improvement on what I gave the Hornby one, as you can see in the review that I'd done of him. But like I said, I do think the Hornby one was okay, apart from the fact that it was painted the wrong colour. And again, I got this from TootallyThomas, where I've got quite a few of my Thomas items from over the years. It's a really good shop where they've got Thomas items from all over the world. And the same owners also opened up another shop, online shop called Tootally Wooden Trains, as you can see here. And they do Thomas stuff and stuff from a range called Hape and Brio. So yeah, I recommend you check out them websites. I think there's some really good stuff on there. So it all depends on obviously what you're after and what you want. But yeah, like I said, I think this is a magnificent model. Really, just got details all the way around. One thing that I would possibly say though is that the roof on this model of Toad's more of a grey, and I'd say Toad's roof was more of a white sort of colour. And obviously I think the Hornby model did that a bit better, but nevertheless, I still think it's a good model, and it's not really that noticeable, to be honest with you. I think it sort of goes well, blends in well overall. So yeah, I think it's a really good model overall. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.